Welcome back to Nadia's Notes. And if I look slightly sad, it might be because I haven't had my bubble tea yet. I'm going to try it again, although I don't know. Maybe I'll just get some coffee and get my energy up slightly. I wanted to talk today about psychological advice on the internet. So the internet, YouTube, Instagram, I don't know, potentially TikTok, everything is filled with one size fits all psychology, and it doesn't really work. There are a couple of reasons why it doesn't, and it won't give you the information that you're craving without further research. Because first of all, this advice that you're reading or listening to has to be personalized, right? So, for example, a good example, if you're trying to get to Manhattan from Brooklyn, the way that you would get there is you would take either the tunnel or the bridges. Let's go down Hester. The 2 or 3 bridges that go from Brooklyn to Manhattan. And you will need to find the bridge closest to you, see if it's open and working, or if you have money, you can take the tunnel, and it can potentially be faster, unless it's closed. So even in a simple thing like getting from a place A to a place B, you have to consider, for you to get there, such things as which roads are open or closed, which roads you should take, the cost of getting from point A to point B, maybe even add road conditions if it's not a beautiful middle of the summer, but like winter. So, okay, why am I saying this? Because imagine if these are the types of decisions you have to make if you just want to drive somewhere or get somewhere, or like walk somewhere, right? Or get somewhere on the subway, or I don't know, go get a Starbucks coffee, right? Like the coffee that you want to get from Starbucks will differ from the coffee that someone else wants to get. But when we get online and we're listening to psychologists and therapists and people studying psychology and studying therapy and whoever wants to talk about whatever they want to talk about online, sometimes their advice lands as universal when in fact, well, as individualized, when in fact it's universal, right? So, and the reason this is important is because in order to be able to feel better and to heal in your particular case, you need to address what happened to you specifically. And that, look at that, elegant moments. Very nice, very nice. Very polyester, but very nice. And that can only happen if you can specifically figure out that the advice that you're getting online will be applicable to you, right? Another problem is that a lot of the trauma that we incur and a lot of problems with psychological problems that we experience are actually the result of trauma. And what is trauma? It's when you have been hurt and not offered an apology. So it kind of throws your system off, makes you reevaluate life, makes you feel unsafe. So you could be hurt deliberately, or you could be hurt accidentally. So someone could be maliciously hurtful or just negligently hurtful, right? And depending on when that trauma occurred, were you an adult, were you a child, did it happen once, was it a repeated kind of scenario, you're going to be experiencing different symptomology and responses. Also, your triggers are going to be different. If you haven't seen good, stable relationships, if you haven't seen or experienced what it looks like for people to have discussions and negotiations and communication that leads to resolution. If you just were not modeled that, you're going to have certain responses to certain things, right? And so all of this is very complex because when you're looking at advice online, it is very, very general. You know, I don't know how different people, I was going to say, I don't know how people come up with what they're going to talk about and what they're going to base it on when they're giving advice. And I feel like, so you don't even know where what is being said is coming from. Also, I think there was, okay, so what did we cover? We covered that it's usually general and you need personalized, and then it's trauma-based and your trauma is personalized. Oh, and the third is that in order to experience healing, because your injury was incurred in relationship with someone, your healing will also take place in relationship with someone, because as I already said, it's either that, and it's going to be, I think, a multi-layered approach, because usually if you don't have a skill or you don't know something and something has not been modeled, you need to end up in a situation where that modeling is happening so that you can acquire those skills which you feel like you're missing. And let's say if those skills are latent, but you need to see that you have them and where to use them effectively. Again, this needs to happen in a setting with other people where you can practice those skills, right? So, for example, if you're playing a team sport, I think we will hardly have an expectation that if you've never played that sport on a team, that you know how to play that sport, you can have good individual skills. And this is what people have sometimes. You know, you could be quite resilient in response to setback. You can, like, let's say you can practice hitting and kicking if you're playing soccer, football. I don't know if I know enough about that sport, but even very frequently, but you will not know how to play effectively on a team, right? Even if you have those skills. Skills of relating to oneself in response to relating to others are acquired practice skills. So just reading or looking at psychological advice, it could be informative in terms of making you think, oh, maybe this is what I'm struggling with, or wow, like maybe this is how I should approach that situation. But even then, it's kind of misleading because your situations are unique, both in nature. If you want to kind of navigate them authentically, right? If you want to navigate them based on a script, yes, a script can be used in a variety of settings with a variety of people, and certain scripts work regardless of the situation, just because, you know, if you don't stress anyone out when you're communicating with them, if you're nice and kind, if you're nice, and in certain professions people are taught to communicate a specific way, or they hire people who are already good at certain types of communication and they teach them to be even better at it. Like, for example, if you're an interrogator, if you work for the intelligence services, if you're a teacher, some teachers really know how to kind of control the situation in the classroom. Some don't. Some learn. A lot of these things can be learned. And so I guess what I'm saying is, next time that you listen to something, don't immediately assume that it will help you. Take it as just like a piece of information and not necessarily self-applicable strategies. I've seen some things that have worked, but those are usually things like that. Okay, I guess I can tell you next time. Remind me to tell you next time because the video is going to get too long if I get into it. About one strategy that I have seen work pretty well, but also I haven't followed through on it. Strategy of developing a good sense of self. But again, maybe I should try it out actually and let you know. You're supposed to do it for 21 days and see if it works. Maybe that's a good thing to do. But again, even then, because I haven't tried it myself, I don't want to tell you definitively that it works. I think it could potentially work because it's something that you're doing with yourself. So, yeah. Well, thank you for being here with me. I'm a little tired, a little down, but very happy to be with you. And this is Nadia's Notes. Please, if you like my content, like, subscribe, come back, and I'll see you tomorrow.